The second method is hypothesis testing using a confidence interval, and you probably remember how to find a confidence interval for a proportion or for a mean of a population. And in our case, we're looking at both of those parameters. So a population parameter can be tested by constructing a confidence interval based on the test. So it's either for sample proportion or sample mean. If the population parameter is inside or the outside of the confidence interval, we can test for the veracity of our claim about the population. So by rule, if the value of the proportion or the mean is inside the confidence interval, then we do not reject the null hypothesis. And if the value of the population proportion or the mean is outside of the confidence interval, we reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so how does it look for example? Well, this is a political party example. Party claims that it has 11% support. To test this claim, a sample of 500 voters were chosen at random, and 40 said that they would vote for the party. Use a hypothesis test at 5% level of significance to test the claim that the party has 11% support. So first I'm starting by stating my null hypothesis, which is that the population proportion is equal to 0.11 for 11%. Then alternative hypothesis, H1, is simply stating that population proportion does not equal to 0.11. Very good. Second claim is that the level of significance is 5%. And then we can construct a confidence interval. And if you remember, confidence interval formula, sample proportion plus or minus 1.96 root of sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion, all that divided by n. And this is at, again, 5% level of significance. So let's carry out a test for my statistic. We're going to get that Ci equals to from sample proportion. So actually, let's add this first. So sample proportion equals to 40 divided by 200, and that equals to 0.08. And then Ci, that sample proportion plus or minus 1.96 root of p hat 1 minus p hat, sample proportion divided by n. Subbing the values in, that's 0.08 plus or minus 1.96 root of 0.08, 1 minus 0.08, all that divided by number of items in the sample, which is 500. And if I carry out this calculation, we get that confidence interval is 0.08 plus or minus 0.023, which gives us boundaries of 0.057 to 0.103. So that's the same value. Now, I'm noticing that the claim P population proportion is 0.11, that population proportion is not in the confidence interval from 0.057 to 0.103. And based on this, we say that since 0.11 is outside confidence interval, we reject the null hypothesis H0, which essentially means that this political party does not have 11% support at 5% significance level.